Hey YouTube, welcome back to Axis&Allies, the Garrison, Detroit, and Gargantua here with a second episode of Decoding Axis&Allies. And today I'm very pleased and proud to say that we have a special guest. He is a trailblazer in our Axis&Allies community, and many of you already know who he is, and he is the one and only David Jensen, who has been around for the past 20 years. Okay, and I say trailblazer because 20 years ago, he was probably the only guy around with any sort of social media platform for those individuals like ourselves who have a love for this hobby to be able to talk back and forth. So yeah, trailblazer, and I would like to take this opportunity, David, to thank you for being that individual. Okay, thank you so much. And I truly,
no problem. Thanks.
Mean that.
And thanks for having me on the show.
Our pleasure to have you. So Gargantua. Okay.
Yeah, well, I just want to continue. That was a great introduction, Detroit. And I just want to continue that. So D Jensen, as he is known on Axis&Allies.org, is the founder and owner of Axis&Allies.org, and obviously a very long time fan of the game. And again, it was I think the website came out in 2000, so it's been 20 years, and just recently celebrated the 20th anniversary. Yeah, it's there's been lots of things that what I like about David Jensen is I've met him in, I don't know, a handful of different places over the years, for different events, whether it was Wizards of the Coast headquarters, whether it was Toronto for some different events, Field Marshal Games or YG's tournament or different things that we've done. And it's David has kind of been a community icon in a lot of ways, and just participating with Gen Con, helping them. And being part of that crowd, as well as doing some, I want to call them joint ventures with Wizards of the Coast. Not quite that, but he's kind of been a partner in helping them market their games and keeping us informed of the new stuff that's coming out. So I'm really happy to be able to spend a couple of minutes and ask D Jensen some good questions about Axis&Allies.org and the future of the community. So I think I'll kind of get going with that. And I think the first question everybody has is, how did you get into Axis&Allies, David?
Yeah, so I got into Axis&Allies when, in middle school. A friend of mine, he's on the site, Roland Morel, he's on the forum infrequently as R. Morel, and he introduced the game to me. We set it up, and we just kind of, this is, early 90s. Not too many other, interesting board games. So there was like that and D&D were the two things that I was into. And so when we got to high school, we just, me and another friend, Ross, so it was me, Ross, and Roland, got together pretty much every Friday during the school year, sometimes a few Fridays in the summers, and played Axis&Allies. Probably 3 out of 4 times to be Axis&Allies, and maybe once it'd be like D&D. And so we did that. We basically played for all 4 years of high school doing that. When I got to college, I had a little bit more of a break, but I was still interested in playing it. And that's, might be jumping the gun on your questions, but that kind of led into the evolution of the beginnings of the website.
Okay, so that basically was the reason or the catalyst for you to go ahead and start Axis&Allies.org. Okay, so the next question that I have for you is, as you launched the platform, okay, what type of difficulties or challenges did you experience or did you run into that were unforeseen as the platform took off?
Yeah, so I got it started. So during college, I didn't have a lot of time to play Axis&Allies. I didn't have a lot of friends who were into it, except for during sophomore year. A bunch of people on the floor of my dorm were like really interested in it. And so what I was looking for was like, I wanted more strategies. I wanted more ideas on how to play the game and win, because we'd like play the game, dissect what happened a little bit, and then go back, play again, and so forth. And one of my friends, he had some interesting strategy ideas. So like he wrote them down. It's like I needed some place to put them. There's another site around at the time that had some ideas on strategies and tactics and so forth. And so what I was trying to do is like, but it was all kind of scattered. And this is like, we're talking like, late 90s now. So there's just not that much information on the internet to begin with. So it's just like, but I wanted more. And it felt like a lot of the sites that were even in the late 90s, like, 97, 98, even the sites that were out there were still kind of like, unmaintained. It looked like nobody was doing anything.
Yeah.
The email address was on there. You send them an email and nothing, and you never get a response back. And so like my thought originally was, okay, let's have a collection of all these articles and ideas that people are having, put them on one website. So I called it, I put it on the college server and called it David Jensen's Axis&Allies archive. And the idea was to archive all the strategies and things. And so so I think part of the challenge was like the initial challenges were like finding the community and like figuring out like what's the best site to bring the community together, or just like, you know, what are people actually gonna visit. So the site pretty much started off as just kind of this repository of articles and ideas, house rules and that sort of thing for so when I launched it in 2000, for like a few years before the community got started. And I mean, a lot of the challenges were actually more early on, especially when we're more technical, because it's not like today where you have, you know, web, you know, cloud services and you know, cheap hosting, all that kind of stuff, where you can just pay $5 a month and you get like a slice of a server somewhere, right? And you actually had to have a server in a, you know, colo you know, facility. And so like one of the challenges was actually finding a place to like host the site, because I started it off at like on the college, you know, web servers or whatever, and it was just like pomona.edu/username/whatever, right? And so that's not what I wanted. I wanted the actual, you know, domain name on it. And so luckily I found a friend. He let's see, he had a buddy that had some like a web server that he was like, you know, sharing with other people. So there's like, you know, 20 other people, and you just drop your similar to how the college was set up, this college servers was set up, but like instead it's just a group of friends. When he shut that one down, I found another, like one of my roommates after college, he had a friend that had a server that he was sharing as well. So that was kind of one of the early issues, just finding a place that was like cheap hosting. Where I pitched in a little bit each month to be part of this one server.
I remember your pain too, because lots of times the websites would like go down and you couldn't find the strategies that you wanted to refer to. And yeah, so I totally hear you there. So keep going.
So go ahead.
At this point in time, okay, what was your objective with creating Axis&Allies.org? What were you trying to achieve?
After I created like the content and the articles, the next natural progression was forums. Because like, you know, in high school, I would like dial into BBSs over a modem and everything, and like have a place where we could chat and actually talk about things. And so I wanted to do that as well. I wanted to set up a forum where people could come and talk about the game, or in the early days, anything, right? And there's a section of the site. It was like, you know, not as many games as were today, but it was like, you know, 90% Axis&Allies and like 10% other stuff. So I just wanted like and this is before social media too. This is like before Twitter, before Facebook, before all those. There's still like little BBSs, or so there are forums. So I installed some forum software and got that running. And you know, in the early days, there's actually, so like I don't know if you were part of the original site that got hacked, but like I set up a forum. It was going for maybe, I don't know how long, maybe 9 months to a year or so. I think it's like 2002. You know, it was getting some traction, and
yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah. And then Larry Harris, actually, that was before he started his own forum. He actually was on the site and commented on a whole bunch of things. Oh, wow. And then I got hacked, or it was like just like a bot or something, just took down the whole site and erased the entire database. And I was just like, I was so upset. I was like so bummed out. So that was kind of another like technical style challenge, but it was like, you know, so I relaunched it, picked a different forum software, and just got the ball rolling. And luckily it was still the early days that other people were also looking for communities to talk about Axis&Allies. So they just they found this and the word got out. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was awesome. So I guess what do you see as a future of Axis&Allies.org from sort of here? Like, what do you think the next sort of 5-10 years might bring, or where do you intend to take the site?
I just want to keep it kind of up and running smoothly. I want to, Slowly like introduce some new, features and functionality. It'd be nice to have a dice roller that was, a more up to date, and that, there's not like, there's some apps and things, but like be nice to have like a replacement dice roll that actually works with the current versions of the game, because I think it doesn't actually do that right now. Sorry, not a dice roll. I meant a battle calculator. So yeah, the battle calculator right now is a little bit outdated. So it'd be nice to update that. It'd be nice to be able to grow the community a little bit more. I mean, it's actually seen a spike in traffic this year. So at the beginning of the pandemic, there's a little bit of spike, and usually always around the holidays, there's a spike. I think people just start having a little bit more free time around the holidays, and they're thinking about what they're going to play during Christmas and so forth. So they jump onto
it's
the
interesting.
jump
It's
onto the
interesting that you
forums.
say that, because with the advent of social media, past what 8, 10, 12 years, with Facebook, TikTok, other social media platforms, you see more and more people going to those sites where people are actually creating chat rooms and so on and so on, where they go back and forth. And I was going to ask you, how has that affected Axis&Allies.org? And it's interesting that you mentioned that you actually have seen an increase in traffic, which is
Yeah.
that tells me then that overall the community is growing, and that more and more people are getting into the game and are getting themselves immersed in some way, fashion, or form, depending. It doesn't matter what platform they're going to, but but apparently it seems like the community is actually growing, and that's our aim here at Decoding Axis and Allies, to grow the community and to connect those separate island groups or niches that are spread out throughout the entirety of our niche hobby, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think having a forum is nice because like people will post, like especially like when they want to find live players, like I'll get stuff on the Facebook page once in a while. It's like, I'm looking for a player here. I said, well, go to the forum. And every once in a while I'll go there. It's just like, I'm looking for players in Pittsburgh or something, for example. And I'm like, go to, and I'll go to the forums and search Pittsburgh and find, oh, there's like somebody who's posted something. It's a year ago, but it's like, if you go to here and post it, you might actually get a response. And a lot of times people, even though some of the posts are old saying like, I live in Pittsburgh looking for players, you can reply to that, and either other people who have been just kind of lurking see it and they're like, oh, I am too, or two, they'll people who like posted that still get the alerts, still get the email notifications, and be like, oh, okay, like here's somebody else, and they can connect with other people. And so yeah, even though like it's been growing, grew a little bit this year, that's been one of the challenges in later years. It's kind of the decline of traffic to the site and in the community. The community stays relatively active, but I've definitely noticed like there has been drop off. It was nice that there's a bump this year, so that's good. That's promising. But like I think 2012 was peak traffic, and that was right when I believe 42 second edition came out. And it just kind of been a very, very, very slow, steady decline with a few ups and a few downs. It's transitioning the forum. It at first didn't affect traffic because I think people were just like, what's going on here? And they're trying to like figure it out. And I think over time it kind of decreased in general, but it is something that had to be done. Is just, I didn't want to end up with with the same situation that I had in 2003, where the whole site just disappears because the technology was too old that was running it.